Welcome home, where we provide information, inspiration, and motivator after motivator after motivator here on America's Next. I have Jason Lewis in here with me today. How you doing, Jason?
Doing all right, Cedric. Thanks for having me.
Oh, well, without a doubt. This platform is specifically designed for people who live in the crux of our society, meaning the most critical intersections of our society. I believe that their stories need to be told, and you are a prime example of one of those people. Jason, if you will, I want you to take a journey with me back to the beginning of your life and begin to tell your story. Tonight, you might do something that you've never done before. You're going to inspire people who watch this show. You're going to inspire people in the future through this conversation. Is that all right with you?
That's perfectly fine.
Sure. Talk to us about your childhood. Where are you from?
South Dakota?
South Dakota.
Yes, sir.
What was it like? What was it like growing up in South Dakota?
It's mainly farm life, really, honestly. You know, wide open spaces, a lot of prairies. But it's different. It's definitely different. I've been to other states, so it's definitely different here.
Mm-hmm. Did you grow up on a farm?
I did, actually, several of them.
Wow. Okay. So when you, let's say 3, 4, 5 years old, you were living on a farm?
At 3 years old is about as far back as I can remember. That's when the adoption process started for me. And that was the first farm I went to.
So as early as you can remember, you were already being adopted.
Correct.
Do you know why you were put up for adoption?
There's no straight answer to that.
Okay.
I get a lot of different answers from a lot of different people that I ask. Bottom line is my mom was 15 when I was born. My dad was 16, and my dad put me in the hospital with internal bleeding.
That's all anybody knows.
That's the only thing that's consistent.
How does it feel? How does it feel to not know essentially the background story of how you came into this world?
It's very, very frustrating. Honestly, it is, because growing up in the system, I knew I was in the system. And every time I would ask my caseworker what happened, why was I taken from my parents, every caseworker gave me a different story.
Wow.
And it wasn't until I found my birth parents that I got their version of the story. And even that is different. It varies every time we talk about it.
So you did eventually find your birth parents?
I did.
Okay. All right. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
No, we're not there yet.
Okay. So you got adopted as a child, and you said that you could tell that you were in the system. How was it that you could tell that you were in the system?
I knew who my parents were at 3 years old because I was still with them.
Okay.
Off and on. So I knew. And when I met the new family, I knew they weren't my family.
Mm-hmm. Were you still able? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That caused a lot of backlash behaviorally on my end upon arriving at their home. So
you felt like you were in between. You felt like you were caught in the middle.
I felt like I was in a strange land. I didn't know where I was, who these people were. I was scared.
4 years old, you were scared.
I was scared to death.
Wow. Wow. Now, were you having visitations with your parents while you were adopted?
No. Um, my last visit with my parents, according to the records I was able to read, was when I was 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, Jason is appearing virtually here with us today, and he's in South Dakota, so that's far away. But we're still gonna get through this conversation. In 1 second. Hey, Jason, you still with us?
Yeah. I had to switch device.
Okay, all right. Um, so you were talking about your last known visitation. You visited with your parents.
Yeah, the last documented visit with my parents that I could find was when I was 3.
Okay,
And that was with my mother only.
not your father.
My mom and my sister.
Okay, not your father.
No, my father was in prison at that time.
Okay. Do you have brothers and sisters?
I do. I have a total of 5 other siblings.
There's 6 of you.
Between my father and my mother, yes.
Okay. Okay. And where do you fall in their age wise?
I'm the oldest.
Okay. All right. All right. How did it feel for you being adopted and you still had brothers and sisters coming into the world while you were already in the system? Is that correct?
Yes, I had 2 sisters, one with my father, one with my mother when I went into the system.
Right. Just sounds like you guys from an early standpoint where you guys were all over the place already.
I was.
Mm-hmm.
My sisters never had to leave their parents.
Okay. Okay. All right. What was kindergarten like for you?
I was homeschooled. I actually got kicked out of pre-K because I was too aggressive, too violent with the other kids. And they kicked me out of pre-K and I ended up getting homeschooled K through 3rd grade.
All right. So from kindergarten to third grade. Now, did you go all the way to third grade in homeschool?
Yes.
What was that like for you? Who were your teachers?
My teacher was my adopted mom.
Okay.
And it was honestly horrible because they were not good people.
Now, when you say that they weren't good people, what do you mean by that?
Okay. Now, granted, like I said, I had behavioral issues, outbursts. I was aggressive towards them and their children.
Okay.
I was lashing out. But their form of punishment was sticks. Lots of sticks, lots of violence. There was one time I didn't clean the dishes properly. I got choked by a drying towel until I passed out, and then I got thrown up the stairs into my room. Another thing that they would do is if they didn't like something I did, I wasn't able to eat. And there were sometimes I would go 2-3 days without eating. So what does anybody do when they're that hungry? They start to survive. They go into survival mode. So I was going out of my room at night when everybody was asleep, and I was going down into the pantry or the fridge, and I was getting food. I was eating, doing what I needed to do, and then going back to my room, going to bed. When they found out what I was doing, they put a 5-gallon bucket in my room and a lock on the outside of my door. One of those hook locks to keep me in my room at night. The bucket was for the bathroom.
Wow.
And every morning I would have to dump that bucket and do my chores. And I was lucky if I got to eat. I finally got smart and took one of these hats and popped the lock and got out. There was a time, I don't remember what I did, but he made me stand against the wall on my tiptoes with my arms out, straight out, while he cleaned his shotguns right in front of me, making me at the age of 6 or 7 think he's gonna shoot me. And busy. Anyway, he didn't shoot me, obviously, but he did hit me with the butt of that gun in the stomach if my feet touched the ground. Now, I ended up in that adopted home for 5 years. At the age of 10, they terminated their own rights at that point.
Who?
The adopted family did.
Okay, so they gave you up essentially.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I didn't find out why till many years later. But when I did finally reach out and contact them, they told me I ruined their lives.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting ready to tell you right now, we are in for an American story of life in the child welfare system that needs to be heard. Far too often, we don't get to hear from people because they took their pain, they took the things that happened in their life, and they take it with them all the way to the grave. Well, we're going to stop that today. This gentleman is telling us a story. I want you guys to take a moment to tell a friend, tell a family member that we're talking about life today. This is a serious conversation, and I want you all to be a part of it. Thanks for being here. If you're out there in the audience, I appreciate you. Feel free to drop some encouragement in the comments. If you have questions for Jason or me, drop them in the comments. Take this time to like America's Next Motivator. Most importantly, let's give Jason our undivided attention. And so they gave up their parental rights. And what happened to you? Did you have to move somewhere else at that time? This is tough. This is tough. Thanks, everybody, for being in the building. I appreciate you. Yeah, hello?
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. All of a sudden, it was.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, you're far away from me. All right, so they gave up their parental rights, and then what happened?
I got put into Children's Home Society.
Okay.
An institution, and I spent the better half of a year there.
Were you still in South Dakota?
Yeah. I never left South Dakota while in the system.
Okay.
I was just on the other side of the state from where I was born.
All right.
And the Children's Home Society, I mean, they say those places are beneficial to the children, that it's just a group home is what they tell you, but it's not. It's so much more.
What was it for you? What was the Children's Aid Society like for you? What was it for you?
It was, yeah, it was a group home. There was other boys there. There was other children there, but the methods that they use for discipline there, I don't know. They use restraining tactics.
Okay.
Now, and I understand a child gets out of control. You got to restrain them sometimes. I get it. But when you got a 300-pound staff member holding down a 50-pound child by sitting on their back to the point where they can barely breathe with their face in the carpet, you're not helping that child. They had a version where they would sit on you, a version where they would lay on you. You know, I look back on it now and it almost looks, the way they would restrain was sexual in manner.
What years were these?
The adoption was annulled in 95
Okay.
or canceled in 1995. So I was in the Children's Home Society from 95 to 96 at least. And then granted, I remember what happened, but my dates aren't perfect.
Yeah, they don't have to be.
But you know, that was the worst time at that point in my life, was being in that group home, because not only did they do that, but at night there's always a staff member right outside your room. You'd have a room with about 10 other kids, and there's always a staff member right there at the door. And some of these staff members thought it was funny to come in and tell stories like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and just horror stories, stuff that would give us nightmares. And they thought it was funny to sit there and watch us go through a nightmare every night. I finally got out of there and went to a home, and I'm trying to remember the exact sequence of events. I believe that's when I went to a family. Yeah, I went to a family in a town called Redfield, and I didn't last long there. It was the fifth grade, because you know, honestly, and I feel bad for this. Me and one of their kids got into a fight, and I almost killed him. I was watching wrestling, and I pulled a wrestling move on him and almost crushed his larynx.
Mm.
But what the foster family never knew, and I never told them, was at night when I was in room with their teenage foster kid, he was trying to rape me every night.
Now, this was the kid that you did the wrestling move on?
No, the kid that I did the wrestling move on, that I choked and almost killed, was their biological child. And he only got involved because me and this other kid that was always trying to molest me or rape me, him and I were getting into it because I was sick of it. And he stepped in the middle of it trying to protect the teenager. And I lashed out at him. And I ended up going to jail, kid jail, that night.
How old were you?
I was 12 years old.
Now, I want to pause here because all I've heard from your story from the very beginning was how pretty much people were using physical, over the top physical tactics against you your entire life. I haven't heard you talk about how somebody had understanding, how somebody had great conversations with you and were coaching you up about, about life. It seems like you've learned a lot of negative things about how to treat other people.
Right. Those coaching tactics that you're talking about, teaching me how to be a person, didn't come until later in life.
How much later?
I was it's a couple years from where we're at.
Wow. Okay, let's put a pin in it because you just got put in jail simply because you were misunderstood, because you never had a fair shot, because nobody gave you effective behavioral strategies, nobody helped you to achieve coping mechanisms. So you end up getting put in jail. Somebody takes you, they take you out of your parents' home and they tell you that they're going to make things better for you. They tell you that they're going to make things better for you. And then when you act out because you don't know how to behave, they end up putting you in a juvenile facility.
Correct.
So what happens when you go to kiddie jail?
I didn't spend much time there. I only spent 3 days.
Okay.
And it's just like regular jail, just for kids. I mean, you stay in a cell, you get your food, you play board games, you watch TV.
Right.
After that, I was sent to another home, and I'm not proud of what happened at this house. And trust me, this part of the story is very, very hard to talk about. When I got there, this family started teaching me how to be a good person. Okay, they tried. I will give them that. But it was too late at that point. I was just fresh out of this incident that we just talked about there. And the reason I don't mention the family on the last one is because every time I would try to approach them about anything, I was told to shut up and sit down.
Do you feel like you have been corrupted by your experiences leading up to this point? You feel like you were corrupted by the original adoptive home, and then by the group home, and then by going to juvenile? Do you think that you have been corrupted to some extent by that time?
By that time, I'm sure I had been.
Okay.
And the turnaround on this is, for lack of better wording, is extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
The outcome to where I'm at today versus where we're at in my story is extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So at this home that I'm at now, I actually ended up getting raped by 2 boys while there. I couldn't talk to the foster parents about it. I was too scared. They were approachable people. They were good people. But instead of telling them what happened, I lashed out on another kid. In the same manner that I was treated, I treated this kid. And that wound me up in another facility. Now, the facility they sent me to is where things started to turn around for me.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of this facility used the same restraining tactics as Children's Home Society.
Okay.
But the one thing that they did differently that the Children's Home Society didn't do is they gave counseling.
Mm.
And these counselors were actually understanding. And actually, instead of judging and demeaning us, this is where I started to learn my coping skills. This is where I started to learn how to approach family members, how to deal with the situation at hand. Okay. At this point, I'm rebellious. I'm 13 years old. I'm tired of being locked up. I'm tired of everything. Okay. I started fighting the system really, really hard at 13. And what that ended up happening was it led to communication with my mother and my sister.
Okay.
Indirect. My counselor at this group home made it happen. I could write a letter, give it to my counselor, and it would get to my mother. My mother would write a letter, send it to social services. I'd get the letter. So finally, I got something I was after. Communication with my family.
So for a young person who might be living in the foster care or child welfare system today, they're going from place to place and they're angry, they're lashing out at people. Do you think it's possible that one of the things that could help them to get out of that that bad attitude or the negative feelings that they're having is communication with their biological family.
Very possible. It's very, very possible. If they are in the system and know that they're in the system, communication with family might help indirectly, like they did with me.
Mm-hmm.
These kids that are in the system now that are angry, frustrated, going through all that, trust me, I know where you're coming from. I get it. Okay. And I'm pretty sure, not every foster home is bad. They're not. If you're in a good one, you're going to be going to counseling. And I know counseling is scary. It really is, because it's somebody you don't know, you've never dealt with, but you're expected to open up to. Do it. Open up. This counselor is there to help you, honestly. And the problem today is a lot of people think going to a counselor, okay, you're weak. Mm-hmm. Guess what? You're in the system. You're alone. You are weak. You need somebody in your corner. And that counselor is going to be in your corner.
Right. Okay. So you believe in counseling. It helped you.
It did. It really, really did, because I spent.
Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time today.
In that year and a half.
Just give us 1 second.
Are we back?
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So while in this institution, the caseworker I had was actually really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
She arranged for me to spend holidays at a particular family's house. It wasn't a permanent foster home situation. It was just a respite situation to get me out of the group home periodically.
Mm-hmm.
And for 6 months, I'd go down there. I'd spend holidays. I'd spend the summer, whatever. Okay. But while there, I met a kid about my age. And this kid is important because he had MD to the point where he was in a wheelchair.
What's MD?
Muscular dystrophy.
Okay.
He was pretty much stuck in a wheelchair or a walker or something of that nature. He could barely walk. He had a specialized bicycle to ride around in, and that's what we did. We would spend the day riding around. But the reason he's important is because I seen him in a worse situation than me.
Okay. What was that like when you saw somebody who you believed to be in a worse situation than you were?
I felt for the kid. I did. I felt bad for him. But I was able to watch, and his attitude was always positive. He was always happy. He knew he was dying, but he didn't care. He was living life to the fullest that he could. And that showed me that, my situation is bad, yes, but it could be worse. Okay, I need to stop fighting so hard against everybody else and let somebody be in my corner.
Yep. You know what, Junior? This is a great opportunity for us to take a breather, regroup a little bit. We're going to take a brief break. For all of our audience members out there, we're going to take a 15, 20-second break. You know how we do. And we'll be right back with Jason Lewison, okay? America's Next Motivator. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern. America's Next Motivator. Hosted by me, Cedric Riley, and sponsored by the Pride Empowerment Network. And we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, again, if you can take some time out, share this stream. We're here with a very powerful testimony today. Okay, Jason, so talk to us about how you were impacted when you saw somebody who pretty much you felt had a tougher life than yours at that time.
Like I said, the way he was, his positive attitude, his, just living life and not letting anything get him down. It was like, okay, I need to take that approach.
Mm-hmm.
I need to start listening to some of these people and stop being a little jerk, because in every home I was through, we counted them. There was 32 foster homes.
Oh my God.
From the time I was taken in the system, and we only touched on a few here.
Yeah.
And that was only the most damaging ones.
Mm-hmm.
But there was 32 foster homes and like 6 or 7 different institutions by the time I left the system. But using this kid's mentality, even though he was dying, allowed me on this last home that I went to, the last home I went to after the institution, my life was different with them. And granted, I was the only child there, but I was 13 going on 14 when I went there, and I cooperated. I listened. I didn't fight them on attending church. I didn't fight them on attending school. I did the typical teenage rebellion stuff, but I tried to live my life normally. As normal as I could based on what I'd seen on the friends I'd made over the last couple of years. And it worked. The last family I went with, in fact, I'm going up there to that family tomorrow. I'm going to go see them tomorrow. And they were the changing point for me. They're the ones that taught me what it meant to be a man.
Wow.
How to be successful in life, how to just how to survive, how to live.
So at some point, it seems like you got fed up with having a dysfunctional life, and then you decided to step up to the plate and give life a chance.
Right.
Seems like you kind of you stopped sabotaging yourself as much, and you decided to start giving life a chance. And when you did that, it seems like everything kind of connected at the right time and place for you to begin to have a different life. Wow. Incredible. And this part right here,
And while I was with this
part right here is what we call success. Jason, go ahead and talk to us about the change that happened.
While there is when I actually found and made direct contact with my biological family at the age of 14. I called and talked to my father on the phone. Wasn't supposed to. I wasn't supposed to know where he was at, nothing. Then I was able to track down my mother based on the letters that we had written back and forth and what little information was in there. I was able to locate my maternal grandparents and in turn get my mother's phone number. Which, by doing so, of course, the Child Protective Services here was not very happy with me. They were not very happy that I crossed that boundary, but I was able to use that as leverage of, okay, I know where they're at. I have a buddy that will take me. I could run away. This was my final act of true rebellion against the system. And it allowed me to get face-to-face visitation with my parents.
Wow.
at the age of 13. Up until that point, according to my caseworker, that has never happened in the state of South Dakota.
Where you fought for your own rights to see your family.
Correct. And I made threats all my life. Every time I talk to my caseworker, I will find my parents before I'm 18. And I did. So now I had that. I had my family again. I was reconnecting with them. So that inspired me to do something even better, even more drastic. I joined the National Guard. And I went to basic training at the age of 17 years old. And when I came back, I met who would later become my first wife. And her and I, things were good there. We started looking up laws because she didn't like the fact that I was in the system and the control that they were still trying to put on me.
Still.
I couldn't have a driver's license, but I could join the National Guard.
Wow, you joined the National Guard and you still didn't have a driver's license?
Correct. But that was also the foster family trying to push me to be better.
Okay.
They wanted me to get better grades. I was a CD student. Now, you see I'm wearing an Air Force shirt. I joined the Army National Guard because I ended up getting glasses at the age of 10. My dream was to be a fighter pilot. I gave up when I got glasses and found out I couldn't be a fighter pilot. So I let my grades slip. I used to be a straight A student when I was younger. I didn't care no more. I had nothing to work for as far as I was concerned. And then I joined the National Guard and was able to do a lot of things that way. But I found out I could be emancipated at the age of 17 because I was in the military. So I did it. Biggest mistake of my life.
Okay.
And I'm putting that out there for the kids that are going, okay, yeah, I'll join the National Guard to get emancipated. Don't do it. Okay. As soon as I got emancipated, I was 3 months away from graduating high school. I dropped out.
Why?
The girl I was with that would later become my wife got pregnant. I dropped out of school because, one, I had no way to get there. I didn't have a vehicle. I didn't have anything. Two, I felt it was my responsibility to get a job and take care of this child. So I dropped out of school. I got a civilian job. I still had the National Guard, but it was the biggest mistake of my life.
Yep. So I want you to take a few seconds. I want you to talk to a young person who's out there right now. They've had a terrible life and they're thinking about dropping out of school right now. We're in a pandemic. School is not the way it used to be right now, and they're thinking about not going back. I want you to talk to them right now if you can.
Go back, honestly. I know it's going to suck. It's not going to be any fun, but you will regret it if you drop out and get your GED. If you do not have that diploma, you do not go to that ceremony, that graduating ceremony, you will regret it. And it's going to affect you later on in life too, when it comes to getting jobs, when it comes to going to college, if you choose to do so. Yeah, they say the GED is the equivalent to the high school diploma, but that's not true. An employer will take somebody that has a high school diploma over somebody with a GED every day, all the time. Simply for the fact that by having that high school diploma, you prove that you can complete a task that you start. So graduate, get that diploma, go to college. I don't know what else to tell you, because take it from me, you're going to regret it if you don't.
Sure. Now, what happens next in your story? And you said that this family that you were part of before you joined the National Guard, they had taught you how to be a man. Do you have any lessons that you could pass along to somebody who might be watching today?
Yeah, the biggest thing, and I see it a lot out here, If you're in the foster care system, do not be abusive. We all know it. We were all told it when we were.
Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason is speaking from the heart today. He's talking about experiences that he's had in the child welfare system and how he was able to overcome that. And I think he's doing a great job of telling his story. He's still with us. All right, you're back.
All right. One of the biggest things that happens, guys, in my own personal experience, since I got out of the system, they're still watching me. I've tried twice to have a family of my own, and twice they've intervened.
Who?
CPS.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Twice they have come in because somebody made an accusation that wasn't true. They ran my background and took the kids. They told, I've been married twice. They told both my wives, leave me or lose the kids.
Mm.
And obviously they chose the kids. They made the right choice. Because no matter what, guys, you're going to have a family eventually, family of your own. Your kids need to be a priority. You can't be smacking them around. You cannot treat them the way we've been treated. You just can't. I know that's all we know, but you got to find a better way. You have to. Because CPS is still watching us. They know our names. Our names come up in their system. They're going to come down on us hard.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you were a rebellious kid.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe it's a conspiracy theory, maybe it's not. I don't know, but that is my experience. Every time my name comes up to CPS, boom, kids are gone. It doesn't even matter.
Mm-hmm. Well, but it also sounds like you're very familiar with the reality that conversations can have a long lasting impact in a positive way with young people, and so
Yeah.
we need to have constructive and educational conversations with our children, right? And so
Yeah.
that's what everybody needs to step up to the plate and do is make sure that you're being constructive in the life of a child instead of being destructive in the life of a child.
Yes. And when you are disciplining your children, don't be afraid to tell them in the process that you love them.
Mm-hmm.
That is not going to confuse them. It is going to help them realize, I did it with my son when I had him. It makes them realize, okay, I was bad, but dad still loves me.
And this is the other thing too. I don't believe that there's any such thing as a bad child. What do you think about that?
There isn't anything as a bad child. Every child is going to do things they're not supposed to,
Mm-hmm.
and they need correction.
Mm-hmm.
So while you are correcting them, let them know, this was bad, but I still love you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I mean when I say the child is going to realize, okay, I was naughty, I was bad, but I'm still loved.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. Unconditional love is the answer, and unconditional love is the concept that needs to permeate from us and through our families all across the world. Now, Jason, I want to know from you, what would you say was your greatest accomplishment in life?
Right now, I haven't accomplished much. I let my life go to hell for a long time. I ended up getting kicked out of the National Guard in 2008 after being in for 5 years because I was trying to do the right thing and help somebody.
Okay.
But they committed a felony and used me as their getaway driver.
Okay.
So I lost my career because I caught a felony. 2 years ago, I made an LLC in the state of South Dakota. I am in the process now of trying to start a business. I'm trying to get into this whole real estate flipping thing, this real estate investing thing right now. The house I'm in right now is under the company,
Okay.
but I want to use that to help other foster kids,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I'm at. I'm trying to change the statistics of foster kids.
Mm-hmm. Are you also seeking self improvement?
Every day,
Okay.
every day. At the end of the day, I sit back and I do what I call an after action review,
Okay.
an AAR. And I look at what I did throughout the day, and if I did something I didn't like, what could I do better next time?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I still go to counseling today. I still seek professional help to deal with the traumas of what happened as a child.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ashamed to say it.
No, I mean it's about taking care of yourself and realizing that taking care of yourself is not something that gets old, and it's not something that we ever get finished with. You never get finished taking care of yourself. It's something that you always need to do. And another aspect of it is accountability.
Yep.
Um, Having people to hold you accountable for self improvement. And I'd like to also extend myself and some members of my network to you as accountability partners to help you stay on track to your greatest outcome in life as well. Without a doubt. It's very important. Very important. Ladies and gentlemen, we all have a journey in life. We go through that journey. We try to work on ourselves. We try to be a help in the community, try to be a positive influence on the community. But it's also important to work on ourselves, to take care of ourselves and welcome partnerships that can help us to be better people. So, Jason, I want to know what's next for you?
What's next? Well, I'm going to continue to build my company. For 11 years, I lived a life of crime, doing dumb stuff, not holding myself accountable. Not anymore. I'm responsible for my own actions. Um, and I've actually been reaching out and helping other people that I know. Like, drugs is a bad thing, a really big thing around here. And I'm not talking marijuana. Okay.
Mm.
I've been helping people get sober. I've been out there doing things for people that maybe I shouldn't be, but I am, because it's making their life better, making them realize there's a better way.
Right.
And that is the foundation to the company I'm trying to build, the life I'm trying to build. There is a better way. Just because somebody has a rough life growing up, they had a rough past, they don't have to keep going down that road.
Right.
You can change direction at any time you want. You just have to realize it. And it took me until I was 30 years old to realize it.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally changed direction and went away from a life of crime. And now I'm trying to do too much at once, honestly. But I need to, I need to get this company going so that I can help other foster kids, other people. I want to give back to the community. I want to help the community. I don't want to destroy it anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And that is what I'm working towards, is being in a position where, like my big goal, and I see some places are starting to do it, and it's kind of trippy because I never said nothing to nobody about it, but I want to build a shelter. Now it's basically, it's a homeless shelter, but it's more. Okay. I want to put something up where there's counseling, there's job rehabilitation for all these people that are out here struggling with homelessness, addiction, whatever. No judgment, no criminal, no nothing. Just come see us. We'll help.
Right. You know, the universe has deposited a positive vision in you, regardless of the things that you went through in your life. You still want to be a positive person, and you still want to be a helpful person to your community. And I think that that's very special. That's very unique. There are some people out here who they were dealt a bad hand in life, and they kept that bad hand. They never changed their cards out. They don't go and they don't, seek help and try to figure out how they could turn something that's upside down, right side up. But that's what you decided to do.
Yeah.
And for lack of a better terminology, the devil's been after you for a long time. And I'm not sure if you're a spiritual man or a Christian man, but there comes a point in time when you have to align yourself up with positive spirituality in the universe. It comes a time when you got to line yourself up with people and entities that are going to have a positive influence on you. And once you do that, like you were saying earlier, you allow the help, you allow the conversations, you allow the new connections in your life to make your life a better thing. Because once your life becomes a better thing, then you can become a vessel for other people's lives to become a better thing.
Yep.
So, Jason, I want to encourage you today to continue to work on yourself. Seems like you're not willing to let yourself go, and I'm not going to let you go, and our viewers are not going to let you go, and we're going to support you and help you to continue on to your best life outcome by encouraging you here today. All right. Now,
Okay.
I got 3 questions for you, and I want you to answer them as best as you can. All right.
All right.
First one is, what is survival to you?
Survival is overcoming a bad situation and being able to prosper from it. It's not a matter of just getting through. You got to be able to continue to push forward.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And that to me simply is what survival is.
Mm-hmm.
Find a way to keep pushing forward. Don't give up.
What would you say? What would you say to an adult out there who might be struggling with drugs and alcohol, but they don't want to be struggling with drugs and alcohol? What would you say to them today?
That is actually that is a person by person conversation. Honestly, there is no script. There is no one phrase fits all anything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The way I've been approaching it with the people that have come to me for help, because I've got friends that were on meth, and by hanging out with me and just talking to me, they were able to get sober. Now, not completely. They had their relapses. I'm not, by no means am I a drug or alcohol counselor,
Right. Right.
but just by being around me, they were able to see a better way.
Wow. Yeah.
Um,
You know what? I have plenty of positive things to say about that. That's awesome. When you are able to help somebody go from a lower place to a higher place, that's a gift. That's the gift that I'm talking about. You know, and that's the gift. That's the gift that you're giving to the community as well. You also decided to share your story today, which was a very heroic thing. And I need to ask you a couple more questions, and then we're gonna wrap this up. All right? Yep. What is success to you?
that to me, I mean, right now, I consider myself successful,
Mm-hmm.
and here's why. You heard my story.
Yep.
I did not fall where they told me I would.
Mm-hmm.
They told me while in the system, you are going to be on drugs. You are going to end up in prison. Yes, I went to jail. I committed felonies. I lived a life of crime for 11 years. I never touched drugs. Not once. Furthermore, I never went to prison. I'm not a lifer into the world of crime anymore. I was able to break free and start building a company.
Yep.
To me, that is success.
Absolutely. One last question, and then we're going to wrap up. What is greatness to you?
Greatness is anybody that can go above and beyond what they need to. Mm-hmm. Greatness is somebody that is struggling and still is able to lift somebody else up. To me, that person has reached greatness.
You know what, Jason Lewison, I commend you for making your life count. I commend you for coming here, sharing your story with me, with us, with our viewership. And I commend you for paying your journey forward. Not everybody does that. You made a choice to do that. I want to give you your respect. I want to give you your acknowledgement for doing the best you can with what you've been given in life. I think it's great. I want to give you your crown today while you're still living, your crown today. And I want to let you know that you are one of America's next motivators.
Thank you.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. You know, I want you to take that, embrace it, keep it, and use it. Look back on this interview, share this interview, spread this interview. And this has been another dynamic conversation here on America's Next Motivator. And I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
All right. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is America's Next Motivator, hosted by me, sponsored by the Pride Empowerment Network. I'll see you all next week. Thank you so much.